Another series of brand relevance. This time is a bit different than the last time. Relevance is not only about organizations, it's also about people, experts, brand experts that work across the region, the Middle East, or around the world. Today I have a guest from Egypt, Dalhia Zayed. She'll speak about Egypt and relevance of brand and branding in Egypt, and how organizations are practicing the real approach of brand, a strategic, also from a marketing arm, the tactical side of it. Marketing is one of the stakeholders, an important stakeholders. But when brand is defined, marketing promotes. I welcome Dalhia Zayed to Brand Relevance. Dalhia, welcome to Brand Relevance. I flew to Egypt. I've known you for a while. I discussed brands in the past. We discussed regionally on the strategic approach. And the first thing that I would like to know is, or the public would like to know, who's Dalhia Zayed?
Well, first, welcome to Cairo. Always good to see you, Zayed. And if anything on brand, I'm jumping up and down. You know, I'm very, very passionate about brand. And over the years, over 20 years of corporate multinational, I've been lucky to work on some of the amazing brands like Cadbury Dairy Milk, Trident, Orange, Telecom, and so forth. My last corporate job was in Mondelez. I stayed there for 9 years, managing strategy and consumer insight for emerging markets. So it took me to amazing places like India and Brazil, South Africa. So all of these just to enrich my experience about brands and consumers, and how if you really dig deep into the culture, people are essentially the same, but you need to tweak your brands to be locally relevant and culturally relevant. So that's, in short, me.
Okay. I'm a frequent traveler to Egypt, and I'm always curious about how brands are practiced around the region. Relatively, brands in the region is all about marketing rather than a holistic approach that addresses all stakeholders. Egypt, by far, to me, is trade marketing and advertising driven, labeled brand, but essentially is not brand. Can you share some thoughts on that, please?
Well, you smack on definitely on that observation, and it's pretty frustrating. Let's just take an example of advertising.
Okay.
I mean, people have been complaining like the last 3 years of the poor quality of advertising, especially with the big spend in Ramadan, but they have not asked themselves, so you do advertising, you write a creative brief. The first thing in a creative brief, you tell your agency who your brand is. Do you actually know who your brand is? The personality, tonality, what you stand for, your values. It should be there, it's locked with your business strategy, but I don't see that really happening. And then in the brief, you tell them, okay, for 2018, we have a campaign, and our objective for that brand that does not change in terms of strategy. You say we need to launch an equity campaign, or we want to block competition, or this is a new innovation. That is tactical marketing. So that distinction is not really happening in the workplace, in the businesses, and sadly, big ones and small ones alike.
So what percentage would you say, let's mention percentage because people will say, Zayed, where's the data? Brand understanding from the mindset itself, from the leadership itself, CEO, CMOs, and so on in Egypt. How would you rate that? I mean, do CEOs understand what brand is? Because they're the leaders. Do CMOs today understand brand? And most CMOs come from several multinational organizations who work as brand managers. And that's how they mature to become chief marketing officers. That challenge, does it exist?
Well, it sure does. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in, fine-tuning that understanding. So basically, the way I see it is there is a reason the business is in business, right? So, of course, okay, you want to make money, great, okay, return on investment for your shareholders, great, but you need to have a product, a services that would, serve consumer need gap. Yeah. Now, once you have that, you need to create a brand. So the brand bundle, the differentiation, the target, the consumer, the pricing, and then it's locked within the business strategy. Having said that, you take it to your amazing on-the-ground marketing team, and they roll it out in a different medium, whatever it is. Now, there is not one a person better than the other in a function. There is no that feud, and it shouldn't be. The point is the set of skills are different. Strategy people are those with a vision, okay? They think bigger picture, they look beyond the current industry you're in, they learn from others, yeah? And marketeers are so savvy and nitty-gritty, and we need that, very precise about, revising a media plan, all of that stuff. Absolutely, they're both very beneficial from that. But what is happening now, you find a titled brand manager within the marketing, and then if you squeeze them in the argument, they would tell you, well, we're strategic marketing department, and I don't see brand playing a role anywhere. So to me, that is the fundamental problem, and I think HR guys should come in and help us out, map a new organization for this whole new structure. So it's business up there, it's branding, and then you roll it out on the ground within commercial. So it's really the sales and marketing together.
Now I'm gonna be a bit controversial here.
Please do. I love it.
Across the region, including Egypt, a lot of the employees hate their jobs. They hate the place they work for. They don't represent their brand properly. A lot of negative. So how in the world are these where brand is to be a holistic purpose that serves both internal stakeholders, how are these marketeers or CEOs calling their organization is a brand when there's a lot of part of the brand missing?
Well, you touched on a very important point, because sadly we forget that every touch point in the world of that brand with the consumer is an integral part of what the brand stands for and its values. And especially those who work in servicing and face-to-face communication, if let's say a corporate brand is about trust, and you're selling me an AC, and the salesperson is, promising XYZ, but you're not delivering XYZ, you're actually lying. So that does hurt, in my mind, as a consumer, the bigger picture of the brand. No, to me, you're not trustworthy because your salesperson lied to me. It does come down to those interaction and life experiences with the brand on daily basis. Overall, this is what really counts in the brand equity in total, and this is where measurements that come yearly basis that tells you why the score index is up or high in terms of brand equity. Unfortunately, not too many organizations have these parameters in place. That's why they don't see the importance of building brand equity and being consistent and relevant to your target consumer over time. They just die.
Dalhia, Egypt has inherited the jingle concept of advertising since the 70s. And it's been the same over and over for a number of decades. Marketeers, CEOs are more comfortable in a zone where they believe this is also relevant when the segment is also evolving. Behaviors are changing, many things are changing, taste, everything. Till today, that jingle, which was from the 70s, dominated by one huge advertising agency, exists today. In that form, it's called marketing. I have seen this argument on LinkedIn by marketeers from Egypt, where they said, this advertising is great. But it's all about tactical, not strategic approach. My question is, when is this change going to come if you're going to stick to that jingle communication that's been there from the 70s and the same form of practice that you inherited as brand managers, where it's only focused on channels and pricing? I mean, where's the change?
Honestly, Baaghil, I think in a lot of cases people do not know what good looks like. There's so many bad practices, and people, sort of brand managers, are in charge of that creative brief. And to your point, there's this trend for 2 years now, just to build on, that brands are for entertainment. I don't know why, where did that come from? And of course celebrities and cheap jokes, humor. So these three are really killers for brands, and it's short term, and it's not even doing anything for the equity. So I would definitely go for advocating even more, stuff like what you're doing. I'm doing a lot of talks as well. I would also speak with industry professionals really people who've been working for 20 or 30 years, I would really ask them to be more progressive and adopt new ways, okay? Because things have changed, all right? If you just, do the same things, you'll get the same results, right? And we all want to grow, and the potential is huge.
Yes.
Why we locked there, I actually don't know. We need a step change, definitely.
Marketeers in Egypt are data-driven. So data comes out, tells them go left, they go left. Data comes out, tells them go right, go right. So if brand XYZ, brand ABC, and brand DYZ, all in FMCG, same category, they receive the same data. Data dictates. Relatively, the values are going to come shared values. There's no uniqueness. My question is, if you depend on data so much, beyond the data is what I don't see with brands from Egypt. Is there a thinking process problem? Is there an out-of-box thinking problem?
Well, there's a couple of issues
thinking
here.
Design problem?
I would challenge this data thing, because I think actually we're mostly not fact-based. And if we have facts, we don't know how to read the data, all right? So yes, I would agree, those who use the data use it incorrectly mostly, or they're not fact-based. The sad truth is, and I saw this in the reviews of the Ramadani campaigns, is that some people, some big names, would actually be very happy that they posted the ad on Facebook and they got XYZ. It's like you're doing the ad for your friends to get likes. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I've seen this repeatedly over the last couple of years. It's pathetic, honestly. Again, with some exceptions, really. On the other point about thinking, yes, definitely we have a thinking process problem. There is not fresh thinking, and if there's only one advice I can give to businesses today, it's about think. I mean, I totally understand that it's very hectic operations. Okay, we're going through a lot in Egypt, and it's pretty hectic. In short, I mean, without going into details. But when is the last time you actually sat down and thought about your brand, the bigger picture, innovation?
Where do you see the region brand relevant 10 years from now?
I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be still struggling, because it's that wave of new thinking that is coming through. But I'm hoping with, those are going into, which is, what we call Gen Z, going into the workforce starting 5 years from now, they're going to have a new spirit. I believe so. But it's really up to us to guide them, because things have changed and we need to be updated as well. I mean, I cannot continue to do the same thing I was doing 10 years ago. I have a lot of tools today between genuine and jazzy and expensive, but are we doing the right analysis? Are we efficient? I don't think so. But that is definitely a new thinking that needs to be embraced.
Dalhia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. On brand relevance, it's very important to showcase experts' opinion. Those with tremendous experience across the globe, just like Dalhia today, Brazil, India, Egypt, and many parts of Europe. Her experience, her values is great to us as brand relevance, also as Egypt. So, every time that we showcase an expert, it's not about promoting the expert, it's about adding value to you, the viewer, whether you're a CEO, knowledge seeker, or even a brand advocate. Brand relevance is about change. It's about bringing the change by having the common understanding of how brands work, whether if it's in marketing, whether it's an organization, whether if it's on human capital itself, internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Till next, stay blessed.